emergency to require police or ambulance.
In some regions in Ontario, up to half of 911 calls are related to non-emergencies. That includes pocket dials, hang-ups, prank calls, and more.
We've also received some pretty ludicrous calls where people should know not to call police for. You know, my coffee isn't hot enough. I went through the drive-through. I went through McDonald's and I received the wrong order.
Today, these ads launched as part of a campaign called When Every Second Counts. It's a new way to bring awareness to 911 call misuse and how non-urgent calls can delay emergency crews from saving lives.
That it may be common sense, but not everybody sees it as common sense. And my message is, get to know what that number, that emergent or non-emergency number is in your community. Put it on your fridge, put it in your phone, and use that when you need help.
It's an initiative launched by the Emergency Services Steering Committee, a group of big city mayors, police boards, and other emergency officials. They say across the province, 911 operators are under enormous strain.
There are all these reasons why people are using 911 when they shouldn't. The problem is, in our 911 operating centers, there's only so many people to answer calls.
In recent years, new technology called Next Generation 911 has allowed centers to streamline calls using AI. In Peel, police say over the last year and a half, it's helped them drop wait times from 3 minutes to 10 seconds. However, some experts say one big problem plaguing call centers is an ongoing staffing crisis.
So keeping enough people in the seats is one challenge, but also finding qualified people to occupy those positions is another challenge that's been ongoing, and that is industry-wide. That's a challenge that we're trying to address globally.
Emergency crews and officials are encouraging folks to visit wheneverysecondcounts.ca to learn more about the non-emergency numbers available where you live. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Brampton.
It's a charity aimed at getting more kids on the ice, providing equipment like skates to those who might not be able to afford it. But the chair says they've been dealt a big financial blow.
This has done a ton of damage to us. It's really, we're kind of handcuffed at this point without these funds to be able to continue doing what we've always done as a charity.
In 2018, Evan Kozner says he got a call from a former Scarborough city councillor saying the city was allocating funds to the charity so it could provide skates and equipment to students in Scarborough.
They had a program called Section 37 Funding, where we received some funding that we didn't even know about, $200,000 from different condominium projects in the Scarborough area, and for us to assist different kids in need.
Kozner says a media event followed, where the funding was announced, and he provided the hockey equipment requested. But 7 years later, he says, the charity is still waiting on the cash.
When funds are allocated to a particular charity and we've waited 7 years already, I just think it's unreasonable and pretty egregious.
So what is Section 37 funding? It's money that's paid to the city by a developer when it wants to add height or density to a project beyond what's permitted. The city then collects that cash to cover the cost of things like facilities and services that are needed in the area. They generally go to things like playgrounds, splash pads, community centers. The idea being they provide a community benefit.
But Section 37 payments only happen after the development gets its first above-grade building permit.
There's no guarantee that any organization is getting the money until the shovel's in the ground. And that's made very clear to them right off the bat.
Paul Ainsley, the current city councillor for that Scarborough award, says it can take 2 to 3 years minimum for permits to be granted.
And then another motion has to go through city council, having the distribution of the monies approved. So I understand from my staff, the building permit was approved sometime late last fall.
In a statement, the city confirmed it received the indexed Section 37 payment in October for one of the projects after an above-grade building permit was issued. But it said funds are released through a city council motion, which to date has not been proposed. And so the waiting game for Kozner continues, who says he's disappointed with that latest update.
The city has a duty to, make sure that those funds come back to us, especially with the promises that they made.
Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Someone watching or reading might wonder, it's like, oh, well, if this, these funds, they come.
Police are searching for 2 vehicles today after a fatal hit-and-run last night in Scarborough. Clara Pasica joins us now from the scene with the very latest. Clara.
Dwight, we're just steps from Pine Hill Cemetery here on Birchmount, the scene of the latest fatal pedestrian collision. This is the third in Scarborough this year, the 7th in the city of Toronto this year. This one happening at around 9:30 p.m. This is here on Birchmount. We're just a little bit north of St. Clair. In this one, it is a woman who was in her 20s who was killed in this collision. One resident who actually works in patient transport was just arriving home. He explains what he saw unfold.
My partner just dropped me off, and we saw the lady like walking here in the middle of the street. So a lot of cars were honking at the lady, right? Trying to tell her to get off the road or something. And then so I think the lady didn't listen. So me and my partner decided to call 911 to call a police, And then suddenly there was a vehicle approaching northbound from St. Clair. So the driver was driving a little bit fast, right? And then unfortunately, the driver ended up hitting the lady. From that side, it got flown over to that side.
So this woman's body thrown a considerable distance. So she was hit by that initial vehicle, but then she was hit by another vehicle traveling the other direction. And so many people were alarmed to see this happen. This gentleman that I spoke with and other people he describes actually directing traffic away from the body that was hit. Multiple people came to try and help this person, the individual and his partner who also work in patient transport, as well as a firefighter who was off duty and pulled over in his car to try and perform life-saving measures. The person that I spoke to had actually just finished his Red Cross certification, but unfortunately, all of their efforts not enough to save this individual. Now, they were hit by two vehicles, neither of which remained on the scene. Toronto police say a little bit more about that.
The information that I'll share with you regarding the two vehicles that did not remain on scene. One is described as a Ford white transit van that was last seen traveling northbound on Birchmount. The second vehicle involved is a black SUV traveling southbound on Birchmount. Both vehicles did not remain on scene. Our investigators believe the white transit van will have some kind of damage to the windshield area.
So they've shared what they're looking for. They have not shared the identity of the victim. Police have emphasized how unusual it is that neither vehicle remained on the scene, didn't stop to help this person, someone who had flown in the air visibly and damaged one of these windshields. So certainly considerable concern. They're looking for those vehicles. They're asking anyone who may have any footage or information to contact them.
Clara, thank you.
We are following breaking news out of Toronto. Police say they have arrested the driver who allegedly struck 5 people on a walkway at Toronto Metropolitan University. The suspect is in his 20s, and the CBC's Mark Carcassole joins us now with more. So, Mark, what do we know about this arrest?
Andrew, Toronto police tell CBC News that the arrest was actually made yesterday. 23-year-old Ryan Petroff is the man who they announced in mid-April, shortly after this incident on the campus of Toronto Metropolitan University, that they were looking for. It took them until today, or yesterday rather, to finally find him, and they say that the arrest was made on the highway, Highway 401 at Morningside in the Scarborough area of Toronto, if you're familiar with the city. The arrest came after police were called for a road rage incident on the highway. Now, this you will remember on April 15th, last month, just before 2 p.m., this alleged incident on the campus of TMU really shook up the city. It happened, as you could see, on a pedestrian walkway called the Nelson Mandela Walk. According to police, there were 4 people injured. 3 of them were sitting on a bench in the walkway at the time when someone driving a car tore through the walkway and slammed into the bench that those 3 people were sitting on, allegedly. 4 people were injured in total, all of them with non-life-threatening injuries. And the next day, they announced that they were looking for Ryan Petroff on several charges. Now, the area where this happened, not only is it a pedestrian-only walkway, but there are a lot of student amenities in the area. There's a student learning center, a library, a pond or skating rink in the winter, the quad all nearby, and just the downtown core right near the Big Eaton Center Mall also nearby. So this really shook up the city. The arrest of Ryan Petroff And the charges that he faces are not only for the alleged car ramming incident. Police say he was wanted on several outstanding warrants. So some of the charges he now faces in relation to the alleged attack with the vehicle, as well as others police say they were looking for him for, they include attempted murder, sexual assault with a weapon, 3 counts of dangerous conveyance of a motor vehicle causing bodily harm, 2 counts of assault causing bodily harm, 3 counts of assault with a weapon, uttering death threats, possession of property obtained by crime under and over $5,000. So a long laundry list of things that Ryan Petroff faces charges for. Of course, none of this has been proven in court at this point. He did appear in court earlier today, but Toronto police were unable to tell us the results of that bail hearing.
All right, Mark, thank you. The CBC's Mark Harkisel.